Hello, my name is Mary Black. I am Director of Curriculum and Student Development for FreedomProject Education. I'd like to discuss with you the inappropriateness of the Common Core standards for the developmental levels of the children. There was a joint statement from education experts and early childhood health experts that stated some deep problems with the Common Core standards. And I think it applies to the children from kindergarten through 12th grade, the inappropriateness. But let's look at it with an eye to the younger ones. The first complaint that these experts had about the Common Core standards was the fact that the children were subjected to didactic learning. Didactic learning means that the children are just sitting and listening. They're bombarded with academic information. This precludes a very important developmental concept that has prevailed for many years before, that children at the early level learn best by playing. There's an old saying that I haven't heard for years, but I remember well when I was being trained as a teacher, that play is a child's work. And indeed, that has been forgotten by those who wrote Common Core. Another problem that they cited was the fact that this testing, this constant testing, I should say, is completely inappropriate for that age level. They're not ready to sit still. They're not ready for the pressure and the pressure from the teacher to perform well. The third is, goes back to the didactic learning, that sitting in an academic situation precludes and destroys the inborn curiosity, the initiative, and the creativity in young children. This is inborn. Didactic learning squelches all of that. And God has a plan for each and every one of us in our development as we go through life. And it is essential that children develop this and take this with them into life as they grow and mature. The last complaint that these experts had was that there is little, if any, evidence that this concentration on academics at the very young level, particularly kindergarten, has brought about any latter success. It has not been proven. A licensed clinical social worker, Mary Calamia, at the Suffolk Forum, brought forth some amazing stories.
I started getting an inordinate number of referrals of students, a lot of honors students, 8th graders mostly, who were self-mutilating. They were cutting themselves with sharp objects, and they were burning themselves with cigarettes. My phone never stopped, and I didn't know why. I asked the kids, and all they kept saying was, "We can't take the pressure, it's too much." I also started getting a lot of elementary school students referred to me. They were refusing to go to school. They said they felt stupid and that school was too hard. They were throwing tantrums, begging to stay home, and upset to the point of vomiting. I was hearing from parents about kids bringing home homework they couldn't help them with. I was alarmed to hear that in some cases there were no textbooks for the parents to look at, and they had no idea what their children were learning. The teachers were reporting a staggering level of anxiety and depression, and that was when I first heard the term Common Core. and learned about the standards that we now say set the bar so high anyone can walk right under it. Everyone was talking about the tests, the tests. As the school year progressed and the tests loomed, my patients were increasing their self-mutilating behaviors. They were complaining of insomnia, panic attacks, loss of appetite, depressed mood, and in one case, suicidal thoughts that resulted in a 2-week hospital stay for an adolescent.
She tells a very effective story about a little girl, and it's one that stuck in my mind because of its seriousness. The third graders, when this little girl was a second grader, a third grade class in her school were all sobbing and just almost hysterical.
A second grader who witnessed this is now in third grade and won't go to school. She's being evaluated, a 7-year-old being evaluated for psychotropic medication just to get her to go to school. A 6-year-old who came home crying because in September, in the first grade, she didn't know what a vertex was. 2 8-year-olds opted out of the ELA exam and were publicly denied cookies because the teacher gave them to the class but wouldn't give them to them. And that teacher, who under duress, felt obligated to do such a thing.
Let's talk about the teachers for a moment. The pressure of the teachers to perform because the tests determine the status of their jobs is incredible. If you as a teacher feel enormous pressure, it is passed along to students. And as somebody who has spent several years teaching little ones, it is so important that they don't, at that age, that they don't detect that kind of pressure, because that isn't what they need at that time. Any teacher at any level reflects the pressures that they have, but it should not, the pressure the teachers are feeling should not be applied. It should not be felt by the students. We will discuss at another point some specific teachers, but if students don't want to go to school and it's serious enough that they have to seek mental health experts to help them, and if teachers are by the dozens and hundreds calling for mental health, then something is seriously wrong. And I truly think that these experts have hit upon the flaws in Common Core that should not be ignored. These were not developmental experts that designed Common Core state standards, and we should keep this in mind. They're not the ones dealing with the children. They, for the most part, were businessmen, and for years I have claimed that teaching education is of human beings is unique and totally different from selling a product, and we cannot confuse the two. And the standards, I think, are reflecting to the teachers and students more like more of an inventory quality list that would be more appropriate for a product.